Hello, dear students. I'm Dr. Shikha Pandey, Associate Professor from Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. So today I'm going to discuss about the term that is the problem related with the solid waste. The topic name is the solid waste problems. So we'll discuss about the problems like the air pollution, water pollution, the nuisance that is created with this solid waste. And this lecture is from this subject name is the solid waste management. So and in solid waste management, this solid waste problem, I will start with this first topic, that is solid waste problem. So first of all, introduction about the solid waste, how and why that much of solid waste is there in our country. So first of all, what happened due to the rapid population growth and urbanization in developing countries, it has led to people generating more amount and more quantities of solid waste and consequent environment degradation. So it will leads towards the degradation of the environment due to the population growth, urbanization, and development in the country. And developing countries is moved toward the, that's why more solid waste is generated, and due to this more solid waste generation, the environmental quality is going to be degrade. So due to the urbanization in the developing countries, it leads towards the environment degradation. Because of that, in developing nation, that solid waste disposal is not properly happening. It will be dumped in an open dumped area, and it will create nuisance and environment degradation also. That's why this will leads toward the degradation of environment. It will be going to harm the environment. So that the waste is this solid waste is normally disposed of in an open dumping site or in an open area. This is going to create some nuisance and environmental degradation. So this is the fate about the solid waste generation in India. In India, due to the more population, due to the population explosion, too much person is there. So if more population, then automatically the waste generation is also increased. So due to that increase in the waste generation, more population and the proper handling is also much important. And in India, that waste management handling is not properly implemented in all the cities, because in rural areas they are not properly implemented. That's why this solid waste is a great concern for today's society, today's world, and this is causing a very major risk to public health and the environment. This is related with the public health and environment, because due to more solid waste, more pollution is there, more nuisance is there, and this will be going to risk on the public health and the environment that is related, that in which they are staying. So this was about the solid waste problem. Why we are going to discuss this solid waste in the coming lecture. We'll study about the disposal of solid waste. We'll study about the management of solid waste. So first we'll start with the problem, because that is the main point. As we know what is solid waste, any refuse that can be not useful is called as solid waste. And there are many problems that is associated with this solid waste. That's why we are discussing this thing. So the management of solid waste is much important in order to minimize, in order to reduce the adverse effect, the bad effects by their indiscriminate disposal. So for this is very much mandatory. This solid waste management is very much mandatory to reduce the pollution, to reduce the adverse effect that has been caused by this indiscriminate disposal, this open dumping, this disposal to anywhere. Improper handling is very due to this. So that the management, solid waste management, is much important. So this was about the solid waste and the problem associated with the solid waste. And now comes to the definition. Like, we can define this solid waste as any unwanted matter that is not much useful, and it is generated by the society that does not have any economic value. Means those things that don't have any economic value, and that will be from a first owner view, that is useless, or that will be not having any kind of economic value, on that is unwanted matter. And that is not useful, Anyway, that is not useful. So this is about the solid waste and the waste generation in India. The waste generation capacity, the waste generation amount in India is 0.25 to 2.5 kg per day. Means normally, if we'll talk about the per capita waste generation, it is 0.25 to 2.5 kg per day. So this is a very huge quantity. So in that much amount, in that much huge quantity, if waste is producing, then its management is very important, because in that much of amount of waste is this disposal segregation, its final disposal is very much important, because due to this it requires more space, it requires more area to dispose it of, it requires plants to make it disposal, to make it resource recoveries. That's why due to more population, more waste is there, and more waste, more advancement in the disposal method is important. So we can define so that at finally we can at that stage where we can define this management of solid waste, so that it can be defined as the discipline that will be associated with the control of generation, storage, collection, transport or transfer, storage, collection, transport or transfer, processing and disposal of solid waste material in a way that is going to address the range of public health, conservation, economic, aesthetic, engineering and other environmental considerations. So this is about the solid waste management. Like, it can be defined as any discipline that will be associated with the control of generation. This is associated with the control of generation. Sometimes storage is also important. Then it's a collection from dumping site, from locality to its disposal area, and then it's a transport or transfer from one place to another place, and then processing of that particular solid waste, what does it require, it's according to their requirement, and then disposal of solid waste in a way that should be best address the range of public health. It is going to be best addresses the range of public health, conservation, economic, aesthetic, engineering and all other environmental consideration. So this was about the solid waste management. Means we have discussed the problem, why this solid waste problem is there in India, because due to rapid population growth, rapid industrialization, the waste generation is increased, and due to more waste, they will demand more area, more space to dispose of all this wastage, so that this solid waste is like, if we will dispose it properly, then only we can achieve we will not harm the environment. Environment friendly manner is very much important. That's why this solid waste management is important. This will be going to, and this solid waste management is a discipline that is associated with the control of generation, storage, collection, transport or transfer, and processing and disposal of solid waste material in a way that is going to address the range of public health, conservation, economics, aesthetic, engineering and all other environmental consideration. So here we are going to discuss about the types of solid waste. How many type of solid waste is there? So the various type of solid waste is there. If we will talk about the solid waste, means those waste that are only solid. So first of all, waste that is coming from a mining waste, like mining industry. Those waste that is coming from a mining industry, like iron ore, smelting, all this waste is called as mining waste. Next is the agriculture waste. Means agriculture waste is coming from the farmland, farming. This would be like soil or anything. Next is the biomedical waste that is generated by hospital, nursing home, and the example for biomedical waste is the animal tissue, syringe, discarded medicine. Next is the hazardous waste. Hazardous waste is again that waste that has been generated by some industrial waste. That hazardous waste is like the waste that is generated by the biomedical waste also, that is having very toxic, corrosive, and industrial waste that is generated by any industry, like cement industry, food processing industry. So this solid waste is categorized in different parts. Because of on this categorization basis, we can adopt its final disposal method. Next is a municipal solid waste, that is MSW, that has been generated by the residential activity. So these are the different type of solid waste. So segregation is very much important, because after segregation, then only we'll see that the characteristics of the waste, and based on the waste characteristics, their disposal is important. So to characteristics is important, this characteristics will says that which disposal method is important. Like if it will be organic waste, then it should be treated with the organic waste, like composting should be there. If the waste characteristics is, if it will having very high corrosive, it is having a paper waste is there, then we'll go for incineration. So depending upon the waste characteristics, their disposal method should be adopted. Now comes to the next thing, we'll discuss about the different sources of solid waste generation. From where, what are the different sources from where this is generated. So from which are the major sources of the generation of solid waste? So it is being produced from the beginning of civilization. Obviously, from beginning of civilization, some waste is there, that solid waste, and the disposal of solid waste is increased due to rapid development in industrialization and urbanization. So now in this era, it has been increased due to this industrialization and urbanization, because due to this more industries is there, urbanization is there. So obviously waste generation is also increased. Waste generation is increased due to urbanization and industrialization. And that is the main reason behind the increase in the waste generation, is urbanization and industrialization. And now, what are the factors that will be responsible for the generation of more solid waste? Means those factor, because of which factor this solid waste is going to increase. So due to the high population density, due to the population explosion, this is increasing. Population explosion. Next is the intensive land use for residential, means more land use planning. Residential people are using more land, that's why means they are not properly manage the land, means land use due to improper land use land planning. Improper land use land planning. Land planning is the reason behind this generation, and they are the main factors for the generation of more solid waste. And then commercial and industrial activity. Of course, due to industrialization, commercial activity has increased, industrial activities has increased. So all together, these are the factor which is responsible for the generation of more amount of solid waste. And because of more amount of solid waste, the need for its disposal, for its proper treatment has been increased. That's why this solid waste management is very much important. Because of population explosion, industrialization, urbanization, its need is too much important. So next, we are going to discuss about the types like MSW. From what is MSW, municipal solid waste, and what are the which is the terms that is associated with the MSW, and from what are the source of generation of this, and what is the problem associated with this MSW. So first of all, MSW are those waste that is known as garbage, and it consists of packing materials like furniture, clothing, bottles, food scraps, newspapers, some home appliances, paints, batteries, etc. These are all MSW, means those waste that are commonly known as garbage, and it will consist of some packing materials like furniture, clothing, bottles, food scraps. And municipal solid waste is arise from these are the source of generation, means from where it is arise. So municipal solid waste is arise from the residential quarters, commercial activity, institutions, public places, open area, streets, parks, playgrounds. These are the areas from where this MSW is arising. They are the main factor which is responsible for the generation of this MSW. MSW is nothing but the waste that is generated by the residential activity, some commercial activity, institutional area like paper waste, cup waste, food waste, paint, batteries, newspaper, food scraps. All those are coming under the category of MSW, Municipal Solid Waste, MSW. Municipal Solid Waste, MSW. Okay. Now comes to the next type of waste, that we are going to discuss about this waste in a details. Like MSW will include the following waste. So first of all, the food waste is there. In food waste, it will generate for domestic houses, hotels, markets, and consist of fruits, vegetable residue. It will be mainly consist of the fruits and vegetable residue. Fruits and vegetable residue, and it will be results due to improper handling, proper handling, preparation, cooking purpose, and all the food, eating of foods. Next is the rubbish waste. Rubbish will consist of two type of waste is there in rubbish category: combustible waste and non-combustible waste. So combustible waste are those waste that can be burned, and non-combustible that cannot be burned. So burn waste are like paper, cardboard, torn cloths, plastics, wood, etc. are the combustible waste, and non-combustible waste like glass, crockery, aluminium, tins, ferrous metals, construction waste, all are the non-combustible waste. Then demolition and construction waste means that waste that has been generated by the demolition or construction waste like bricks, steel piece, stone dust, concrete. These are coming under the category of demolition and construction waste. So remodeling and repairing of residential, commercial buildings and industrial factories. And the next waste is some special waste that is also coming under this MSW, Municipal Solid Waste. So this is like that will include the street sweeping, roadside litter, drainage debris, dead animals, and abandoned vehicle parts. Next is the sewage and sludge waste. Sewage is a liquid waste. Sewage, some sludge will be coming after that water purification method. So this sludge will also coming under the category of MSW, Municipal Solid Waste. So this was about the all solid waste that we are going to cover, and we are going to understand the problems associated with all these waste, and there are a variety of waste is there. That's why the disposal and proper handling is very much important. Now comes to the next type of waste, that is industrial waste. Industrial waste are the waste that has been generated, that has been arise by the following industry. First one is any chemical industry. Next is the metal and mineral processing industries. Radioactive waste are generated by nuclear power plants. Thermal power plants produces fly ash in a very large quantities. Chemical industry produces large quantity of hazardous and toxic materials. Other industries like producing packing materials, rubbish, organic waste, acid, alkali, scrap metal, rubber, plastic, paper, glass, wood, oil, paints, dyes. So these are the industrial waste, and this waste has been generated by the chemical industry, metal and mineral processing industry, radioactive waste plant, thermal power plants, or some chemical industry, or some other type of industry that will be producing like rubbish, organic waste, acid, alkali, scrap metals. So these are all about the industrial waste. Next is the hazardous waste. Hazardous waste is again from the industrial waste. So it is a solid waste or a combination of waste that is producing, with the combination of it will produce a substantial danger, and from now or in future, to human beings and plant or animal life, and it cannot be handled or disposed. So this example of this hazardous waste is the disposable syringes from hospital are a specific source identified as a hazardous solid waste. Next is the ignitable materials, like those material that is easily inflammable, that is below 60 degrees Celsius, that can be very easily catch fire. Like temperature if it is below 60 degree also. So these are called as ignitable material. Next is a corrosive material, means it will causes corrosion very easily in a tough iron rods also. Next is a reactive material that undergo rapid reaction with water or other substances, and that is going to release some very toxic gases also. Toxic material that consist of lead or arsenic. So these are toxic to human beings. So these are all are the hazardous waste, and these we are discussing so that what will be the problem that is associated with the hazardous waste, all types of waste, and then only we will get idea which is the characteristics of the waste, then on which characteristic what disposal method is suitable to that particular waste, and this particular method is suitable to that particular waste, and which method should be adopted to treat the waste, and what are the problem associated with that particular waste. Next is the biomedical waste. Biomedical waste are the type of waste that is generated during diagnosis, treatment, immunization, research on animal model, drug testing. This waste that is generated during the diagnosis, some treatment, immunization activity, research on animal model, drug testing. It consists of human anatomical waste and animal waste. And it also include material like sharp anatomical waste, body fluid, cultures of microbes, syringe, swab, bandages. It may be highly infectious and proper care should be taken to dispose it off. So this is about biomedical waste. Biomedical waste is the waste that is generated during the diagnosis activity, during the diagnosis or during the treatment, during immunization, and this biomedical waste is generally, it will be generated from the hospital, any nursing home, any research centers. So, and this handling of this biomedical waste is also very much important because it is a very infectious waste. Because if a person is coming disposed in the for a COVID waste, for if we will talk about this COVID time, and too much biomedical waste is there, hand gloves, mask, too much things are there. So if it's a proper handling is very much important, because if we'll not do the proper handling, then this will be spread many diseases, and it will be a life threat for a person who is handling that waste. That's why there are too much problem that is associated with the waste, and this solid waste is a matter of concern for today's world. Because of this COVID era, because of this COVID-19, the biomedical waste has been increased. Because of face shield, lots of immunization is there, many syringes is there, and this is very much infectious. That's why this proper handling and management of this biomedical waste is very much important. And now we'll discuss about the effects of solid waste. Means what are the effects, that is what are the problems that is associated with that solid waste. So first of all, open dumping or garbage dumping becomes a breeding places of flies, and this will spread many diseases. Rats and pigs roam and feed on garbage and transmit disease like brain fever from pigs to human being, and plague from rats. And next is the solid waste may choke the drains and gully pit, resulting in water logging, which in turns result in breeding of mosquitoes, and then causes for malaria and dengue in human being. So these are the effects of the solid waste. These are the problem, these are the side effect, these are the negative impact related with this solid waste. Next is the noxious fume is there, some harmful gases is there that is going to pollute air due to burning of waste products, especially plastic containers. Burning the garbage causes black smoke filled with toxic byproducts from burning rubber, plastic, etc. to fill the air. So these are the effects of solid waste, that is means degrading the environment, that is degrading the human health also. Now comes to the next thing, like obnoxious smell or bad odor pollute the air due to decomposition of solid organic waste. So this is the reason behind the air pollution also. Municipal solid waste heaps up on roads due to improper disposal system. Every year several ton of solid waste is dumped along the highway, thereby spoiling the landscape, that is appearance of an area of land. So this is about the effects of solid waste, that is the bad effect that is related with the solid waste. Urban and industrial solid waste often contain a variety of toxic chemical which may enter into the food chain and affect both terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem. So this is the very negative sequences that is related with this solid waste, because it will contain a variety of toxic chemicals. Many toxic chemicals is there, like DDT, PHC, toxic metal, arsenic, lead, nickel, and this is going to be affect the food chain, terrestrial and aquatic organism. Next is the sustainable management of solid waste. So this sustainable management of solid waste is much important, and this sustainable management will leads by the reduction, reduce, reuse and recycling only. Only three steps that should be adopted for the sustainable management of this solid waste. And so first of all, reduction means it will cause for lower level of material consumption in society, means to decrease the level of use, the consumption of material, decreases the consumption. So if you want to achieve this reduction, so decrease the consumption of materials. Next is the reuse. Reuse means continuous use of material, continuously use of materials. Continuously use of materials. This is about the reuse. And then recycling. Recycling will attempt is to maximize the lifespan of a material in a production consumption cycle. This is a recycling approach. So 3R is there. 3R is very much important for this sustainable management of solid waste. This will be like reduction, reuse and recycling. Reduction will start with a lower level of consumption of any material in the society. Reuse means continuous use of materials, and then recycling, that will attempts to maximize the lifespan of a material in a production consumption cycle. So this was about the sustainability of management, sustainable management of solid waste, like proper management or sustainability, like this kind of management that will leads toward the eco-friendly manner of solid waste disposal. Next is this reduction approach. How to adopt this reduction approach? So we should purchase more durable item. So if more durable item is there, then automatically the waste production will be reduced, and buy more efficient products like automobile, houses and appliances, like those which is more efficient or long lasting products you should buy. Next is the cut the consumption of reducing luxury items, means luxury items consumption should be reduced. This like you should shift toward the low carbon lifestyle. Next is the manufacturer can reduce the size of their product, so to cut down on, and then material used per units. So this should be a reduction approach. We should buy products like which is more durable, who is having long lasting products, and the reduction consumption should be cut. Next is the reuse and recycling approach. In a reuse and recycling approach, what is happening in this? Like in this approach, recycling should be done, but it usually involved with some forms of conversion from one state of the material to another state. For example, in the process of recycling, a glass has to be crushed and melted before it will be used to make a new glass. So this will be a recycling. So recycling is and reuse is another form of recycling, and it will be involve some forms of conversion from one state of the material to the another state. So this, if we'll adopt this kind of method, it will lead toward the sustainable management of solid waste. Next is the problem. What is the major problem? What are the things we should discuss that will be associated with this solid waste? So solid waste takes up many valuable and costly lands, because it needs more space, more land. So these are the basic problems that is associated with the handling of solid waste. It will takes up more valuable and costly lands. Sometimes what will happen with the landfills? Landfill is going to pollute groundwater, while incinerators causes air pollution. Landfill pollute groundwater and incineration causes air pollution. So this is the one more problem that is associated with the solid waste management. That's pollution problem. Next is the garbage disposal and incineration represents a waste of valuable resources. Aluminium cans and other metal when recycled could be a valuable resource. Garbage disposal and incineration will represents a waste of valuable resources. They are like they will having in garbage disposal or incineration many valuable items is there. So if we'll go towards the recycling or reuse of the material, then that would be a better option. So recycling and reuse should be focused, means or it should be mainly focused on the 3 R's, that is reduce, reuse and recycle. Next is solid waste management is a very expensive method. Like if we'll take the example of US, in US it will be currently spent over $300 million just for a landfill disposal, only for a diaper. And in many cities, waste disposal is the second largest expenditure after the education. So this is the very expensive method. So we should, these are the problems. Like if we'll talk about this ancient method of disposal of solid waste, it will be a very expensive. So we should think about something should be less cost effective, something should be cost effective also, cost effective and environment friendly also, because problem is also associated with this pollution problem is associated with this landfill, and it will be taking more amount of land also. So we should find some time of disposal method that should be cost effective, that should be eco-friendly also, and that should be long lasting also. And among all these things, we should focus on these three R also, because reduce, reuse and reduction sometimes is a better option than this disposal of solid waste. So these are the problems that is associated with the solid waste. And this we can see that this reduce, reuse and recycle of raw material, like we have already discussed, that we can reduce the generation of waste, and it will be going to reduced also. Reuse is again refillable container should be used, that is going to discard after used or reused, and rubber rings can be made for discarded cycle tubes, and this reduces waste generation during manufacture of rubber bands. Next is the reduce, reuse and recycle option. So in this again, old aluminum cans and glass bottles can be melted and recast into new cans and bottles. Preparation of cellulose insulation from papers, so it should be reuse of that particular thing. Next is the preparation of automobile body and construction material from steel cans. So these 3R will help us in saving money, energy, raw materials and reduces pollution. So this is about the reduce, reuse and recycle. Now, thank you in this. For today's, we have already discussed about the problem that is associated with the solid waste. So now I am going to conclude this lecture with that thank you remark. Next, in next lecture, I'll discuss about the industrial waste, agriculture waste and all the waste that is generated from the industrial activity. Thank you for today's lecture.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.